Yeah.
There we go. All right. So I figured what we might do is for the first maybe 5 to 10 minutes, just talk to each other, figure a couple of things out, introduce ourselves, introduce yourselves as well, have a bit of a chat, and then we'll probably do a bit of an intro in regards to the podcast and what we're going to be using to, I guess, start. And then we want to unfold your story a little bit.
Sure, that sounds good.
All right. So I'll go first. So my name is Martin. So hey, how you doing?
How's it going, Martin?
We were the one.
Brendan.
I was the one that got in contact with you. I'm an entrepreneur myself, as you know. I'm a sales coach as well. I've got 2 kids. Just recently took up a new role. Absolutely love entrepreneur coaching, that sort of stuff, and absolutely love, I guess, figuring out what are the differences between people who seem to say they're successful and people who aren't, or people who are happy with their lives and achieving things they want to achieve in their lives, and people who simply aren't. And that's quite an obsession of mine, trying to figure that out and then applying those things to myself and to those people who want to get there as well. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. So I love asking questions. I love finding out about people. I love finding out their story, why they are the way they are, their background, what's their motivation, what's pulling them towards whatever they're trying to achieve. That's about it, yeah?
Yeah. What's your name?
My name's Jack. I'm from California originally. I've been doing entrepreneurship for pretty much since high school, kind of on and off. But I was in high school. I did a lot more social entrepreneurship, so it was a lot more nonprofits and volunteer stuff. And then as I got into college, it became more of like, well, shoot, I want to make money off of this. So how am I going to do that? So it kind of became a little bit more commercial. So I started out doing digital marketing, kind of been doing that for a long time. I don't really know what else to say to that. I'm a huge fan of like helping people find what they like, which kind of originally got me into SEO, which I don't know if you guys know much about SEO or not.
I do.
I haven't heard.
No. Okay. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. Basically, the whole premise is I help people find stuff on Google. Like that's pretty much it. So like if you have a website or something and you have like people that you think are like looking for a specific, like, I don't know, like sales coaching or whatever on Google, and they're trying to find clients, like I'm the one to help get their website up on Google for people who actually look for sales coaching stuff.
Cool. So you like cut through all the like the main big companies and kind of that take up the front page and get through all that.
Yeah, I come up with strategies, help people do that, and then I try to help people figure out like, oh crap, like these guys are like legit, they're cool. Like, how do you do that from a design perspective? How do you tell people like, hey, I'm not just some like crackpot dude, like I actually am an authority figure, and like here's how I can prove it, and so it's really about telling the story and like trying to help people connect and help people do what they want to do. And to me, it's been kind of cool because that kind of transitions over into entrepreneurship really well, because now it's like, well, here's what I want to do. And for me, the people I found successful, it's really been less focused on like what I want to do and more of like, well, shoot, I found a problem and I want to make your life better. So how am I going to do that?
Awesome.
So that's kind of me in a nutshell. That's what I like to do.
Sweet. So you're like linking the social work that you've done, the entrepreneurial stuff, and kind of putting that all together and really making it, taking that social aspect kind of back into the whole consumer force in a sense.
Yeah, that's really what it's about for me. Is at the end of the day, it's how can we make cool stuff.
Yeah, sweet, awesome.
Tell us about yourself, Brendan.
Huh?
Tell us about yourself.
I'm just some kid. No. I used to do like property management and construction property with like family business and all that kind of stuff, and then just decided it wasn't really working for me. I was always more in tune with social work and all that, so I've actually started studying social work and want to do counseling, therapy, these kinds of aspects, and then got into podcasting. Martin asked me to like do some podcasting with him, and now we're just like having conversations and doing this really cool thing. So it's almost like my first entrepreneurial, I guess, leap.
Yeah. I mean, it's been quite interesting. I think it's probably what sixth episode. Sixth episode.
Yeah, I think 6 that we've actually recorded.
Yeah, 6 that we've actually recorded. So we're still quite at the starting point. But the thing is, it's starting now to build a bit of a structure in regards to it. We're now getting people involved. I mean, I didn't even expect you to say yes. I wasn't even expecting you to come on. You were just like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, yep, all right, amazing. Let's get you on, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. What we want to do is essentially showcase people's stories that people can get behind, listen to it, and take some motivation out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So really personal things as well, if you're comfortable with sharing, maybe some of the struggles, etc. But that's really what we're going to showcase, how, it doesn't matter where you've come from, for example, and what you want to achieve. We've had people who play Dungeons and Dragons and out of that write books. Right. And that's phenomenal as well. I mean, that's a completely different side compared to entrepreneurship, where you're thinking, let's do business, let's do this, let's get it out there. Every day is a hustle, is a grind. It's completely different. But it still can help people along the way as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I think that's really cool. Like, even just starting the Instagram, like, I've already talked to a bunch of people who are not at all, like, I feel like the whole, like, yeah, let's grind or whatever, like, that tends to just be the image that a lot of people portray, but that's not actually how they feel.
No.
And it's cool because, like, I've already gotten a ton of people that have come to me and they're like, well, crap, how do I don't even know how to do this. I must stay on the grind. But I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to burn out. Like, go do something fun. Go figure out what you get to do with your life. Don't just, like, slave. But, yeah, I don't know. It's cool. So I think, like, what you guys are doing is pretty dope.
Yeah, it definitely, like, starting with the fun aspect and then just having everything kind of fall in place. Because I think you kind of get in your own way and it's like tripping over your own feet, trying to force yourself to do something that's not so much fun, thinking you're going to get somewhere through the hard work, which is true, but it's that real aspect of having fun with it is quite important.
Yeah, because, like, if you're not, at the end of the day, like, you're going to have to work hard, but if you're not fulfilled in what you're doing, like, you're not going to get very far, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. If you're not driven insane with, like, passion by the thing that you are going to spend 14, 15 hours a day doing, then, like, why are you doing it?
100%.
I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. So,
all right. Sorry, I'm just going to write a couple of notes because there's a couple of things you touched on. Do you mind if I write them?
Yeah, go for it.
That I'm going to ask once we start the podcast, because I think we've got some cool little gems that we can start to pull out of you already.
You don't feel we've already started?
We kind of have already started, but
it's recording.
It's recording, but what I want to do is I want to have a bit of an introduction as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Let me just write this down because I think there's a couple of gems that you've already mentioned, which is going to be really interesting to pull out. Because one of the things that I completely agree with is that if you're starting entrepreneurship, you're starting any venture, you are working, stupid amounts of hours. And if you're not being fulfilled with those, you will get burned out. And if you're burned out, you're not going to be able to do great work. And if you're not being fulfilled and enjoying it, you can't create great work, which means that your work starts to become secondary. And in the market space that we're currently in, I don't think you can ever be secondary, if that makes sense. You kind of have to not be the best, but you're going to be the most creative, the most innovative. You've got to be out there, you've got to be weird, different, unique.
It's got to evolve the current standard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do it when you're burned out, because when you're burned out, you're making terrible decisions. Your work ethic starts to drop. You're not going to take those risks that you need to take, and have fun with those risks. Because let's be honest, taking some of those risks are really, really fun and scary at the same time. I know I felt it when you burn the boats, and you're kind of going, oh shit, did I really just do this? Oh crap. Okay, we're going to have to go with it now.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things I want to touch on. So I reckon we do a bit of an intro now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, guys. This is DreamStream number 5, 6? Six now. We've got the Ugly.Entrepreneur from California, San Francisco, with us today. He's going to talk a little bit more about entrepreneurship, where he's coming from, what he's doing, and it's going to be really, really exciting. Thanks for having us, Jack.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, guys. This is really cool.
Okay. So for anyone listening to us, tell us a little bit more about yourself. What are you doing? Tell us about your life. What are you currently working on? What's driving you, etc.
Sure. Well, so like you said, I'm from San Francisco, out in California originally. And yes, my family does live by the beach. And no, we don't surf, which is really sad and depressing, and we really need to fix that. But yeah, so I'm the ugly entrepreneur. The whole idea is to show the real ugly side of what it is to be an entrepreneur. None of this kind of fake. Yeah, we do the daily grind, and I know everything. Like I don't know everything. You know, this isn't my 20th venture. This is only like the third or fourth one. So you make mistakes, you learn from them, you grow. So that's really what the Ugly Entrepreneur is about. And right now, I'm documenting the process of starting a social listening app. It's called Sapie Space. It's SAPIE.space. And what it does is it basically connects people together. Like if you have a cool product or a cool idea, or you just want to get to know people in any topic, you can just search for it, and we'll pull the most influential people and give you their social network and all their contact info, and you can just start talking to people. And that's really what we're about, is really trying to connect people together.
Okay. So how did you come up with the Sapient Space? Tell us a little bit more how that became, how did that evolve? How did you start?
So it all kind of started actually just automating this process that I already done manually. So I do something as my full-time work. It's called SEO. It's search engine optimization. So it's basically trying to help people find stuff on Google. And so one of the ways that we do that is through getting other websites to talk about you or talk about your product or whatever. It's a lot of online PR. And so what I would do is I would manually search for like super influential people, try to find their contact info, find things that they're interested in, and then try to make some kind of a connection there. And it took like 3 or 4 weeks to do for like one product. It was just not efficient. So we ended up trying to figure out how to automate it, and we learned more about like machine learning and artificial intelligence, and we built this app, and that kind of started from there.
Okay.
Sweet.
Okay, so how long have you now been running Sapient Space for? Tell us a little bit more how long you started. What are some of the challenges you've had at the same time?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I've had this idea for a couple of years, actually. And we didn't actually start getting traction until about 4 or 5 months ago. And we have about 1,000 companies that have signed up now. But before then, it was just a mess. You know, I feel like the whole thing with Sapie Space is it really taught me like how hard it is to come up with an idea for a product, to actually spec it out, to get the right developer. I went through, I think, like 5 or 6 developers and spent 2 years rewriting code because they didn't do a good job, or like it somehow was messed up, and then we had to restart. So like, it was this huge, long process that it took for us to get to the point where we're like, okay, we're actually going to be launching and things are cool. So it was a couple-year process so far.
Oh, okay. Give us a little bit more of an example of, you said you had 4 or 5 developers on there and it was ugly and it wasn't working out as well. That itself has a lot of challenges. I mean, especially if you've decided with a developer and now you've gone and kind of gone, this isn't the right person. Tell us a little bit more about that sort of challenge in itself, because I mean, it's never an easy, I guess, decision to make. Right.
And it's really scary when you decide to fire your developer. That is a very scary thing to do. No, it's, so it started out with just trying to find, it was just the first developer I had was an agency that just like built minimum viable products. They just built like your kind of basic thing to go prove your point and like prove that your concept works.
Yep.
The problem was that it really kind of comes into the complexity of like machine learning and databases and how all this stuff works. But basically they built it in a way that would not allow it to grow. So like the whole foundation was messed up.
So you're saying the machine could not grow or kind of learn to improve.
Right. Yeah, it couldn't. So like the way machine learning works is you have a basic set of data that you have that it learns from. And then like as you get more data, it becomes smarter. Mm-hmm. The problem was that the way they set it up, there was no way for us to get more data. So it couldn't actually learn beyond a certain amount. Like it just couldn't grow. Mm-hmm. So we were kind of screwed. So like the whole idea of like, yeah, you can search for whatever keyword you want. Well, really, you could only search for one. And now we have to rebuild this whole thing to just search for 2. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of messed up. So that didn't work very well. So, I decided that and when I talked to them about it, the thing that really set me on the path of like, okay, I need to find a new developer was they didn't understand what I wanted to do, and they didn't execute the way that I wanted them to. So I came to the decision that like it wasn't worth the money I was investing in to have to rebuild everything with this agency. And the thing that I was really lucky with was that my brother-in-law is actually a developer. So I talked to him about it, and he was like, well, shoot, that sounds really cool. Why don't I do it? And so that's how I got my second developer, was my brother-in-law. And I was like, dude, this is fantastic. Like, family business. It's going to be so dope. We're going to make millions of money. Like, you're going to get a freaking Porsche and get, like, the hottest girl ever. And I've got your sister as my wife, so, like, I'm set. But that didn't either. It was kind of weird.
The fantasy kind of all kicked in.
Yeah, like, that whole dream happened. And then, like, a year later, the problem there was that there was he ran into issues in his personal life that kept him from being able to actually, develop for anybody. He ran into physical and mental health issues. And at that point, like, anytime it's with family or your mental health comes into play, like, that should always take priority over whatever work you're doing, right? Even if it's like, shoot, I have this deadline. Like, if you're at the point where you're ready to do something that would be harmful to you because of your mental state, like that your life.
Oh, not a good time to cut out. No.
Something fixes itself.
Fingers crossed. I think it's gonna. Oh, yeah.
There we go. We got you back.
Yeah.
Disconnected for a
Sorry
second. So tell us again about this point. We got
Like
to mental
teary
health.
and emotional, and Skype wasn't having it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So he was in a place that was not a good place mentally, and it was causing some issues for him. And so I told him, like, look, dude, get healthy. I'll figure it out on my own. Like, your health is most important. And then from there, I started looking for people, and that's when, like, the whole, like, try to find a co-founder that I can have, like, in my back pocket and rely on. Like, that whole journey in of itself was crazy. Luckily, I finally found somebody, and he's freaking amazing. And we built this thing. We basically recoded the whole program in like 4 months and have been running.
Oh, wow. So there's a couple of points I want to touch on. Tell us more about it.
Sure.
It seems like you speak a lot from the mental health perspective as well. I'm guessing. Have you gone through something like that previously?
Yeah. It's been a pretty big thing in my family. So my background is I dealt with a lot of depression that stemmed from bullying early on in my life. When I was in first grade up through about middle school, I wasn't really literate. I couldn't really read. And it was just the school system that I was in. Like, before I went to this like super fun private school that you think would be fantastic, I didn't really know how to read, and so that caused a lot of like self-esteem issues for me, and a lot of like self-depreciation. And so I had to learn how to go through that, and it really helped in high school when I found out I actually had learning differences. I have ADD, and I kind of go all over the place. I didn't really know that until high school, and then once I figured that out, I was like, oh crap, this makes so much more sense. Life is so amazing now. And my wife also, yeah, right, thanks. So and then my wife and her family also deal with a lot of mental health issues. She herself is an abuse survivor. So, just being so close to that, all of that stuff has really made me self-aware and really cognizant of like mental health and how it plays into your everyday life, and like, how to recognize it, and especially within entrepreneurship, like, how do you take care of yourself mentally so you can actually build this really cool company, as opposed to, burning out halfway through, which is what like 60% of the companies do.
I guess that really ties into, because I was really curious about the name Ugly.Entrepreneur. So I guess that really ties into that kind of the reality of entrepreneurship, and even peeling beneath the layer a bit, the reality of kind of the human being behind the entrepreneur, where it's not all just like lights and flashing stars, and then pop, you have like $1 million. It's a real experience.
Real struggle. Yeah, it's a real thing, and that's something else that I have a couple videos on there of me just like holding the phone to my face being like, guys, gonna share this situation really sucks. And I don't know how close we are to launching and blah, 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 but I feel really sad. And so like, there's a lot of vulnerable moments there that I try to capture because I know that like a lot of other people go through it too, but like nobody's really showing that. And so like everybody kind of feels alone, like crap, maybe I shouldn't be feeling this way because everyone else is just like a shark killing it right now, and I feel like a freaking minnow. Like, what do I? So I want to let them know like there are other minnows swimming upstream with them. They're not alone.
You're definitely not alone. You're definitely not alone.
Especially when you're very self-aware, kind of swimming amongst like all these facades and mirrors, and it can be quite confusing which way you want to go and what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's really important to be, I think the two biggest things that really determine who's successful and who's not in entrepreneurship, the first one is being self-aware and recognizing who you are and what you want. And then the second one is grit. And, can you work past some of the tough points to get what you want? And so I really try to hone in on those and focus on those so that people recognize like, hey, these are common things. You're not kind of on your own.
Are there any like practices or philosophies or kind of ways of thinking you follow to help you kind of manage that sense of self-awareness?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing is to find someone who can be brutally honest with you, but also be very encouraging. I'm really lucky that my wife is that person for me. She is like, she will kick my butt back and forth. But she's also at the same time, she's like, dude, you're being really stupid, but I know you can do it. You're doing such a great job. Yeah. There's actually so many times where like, I'll be driving and she'll be like, no, don't, slow down. You're doing such a great job driving. I'm so appreciative of you doing all this great stuff. And it's just like, that's kind of how she is. Awesome. So like, you can find like the golden gem, right? Find somebody who can help you do that. It doesn't have to be your wife, right? Or your partner. It could be whoever, friend, associate, colleague. But just having somebody help like hold up an encouraging mirror for you to see like both how cool you really are, but then also like, hey, there are things you can work on. And then the other thing I think is like, making sure to have fun. Cause like the other thing that like the risk that I run with being self-aware is like, I beat myself up a lot because I'm like, man, I really could do better at this. But then like, you got to take a step back and find something where you can just kind of turn your brain off and be like, dude, yeah, I did this. This is super cool. And for me, that's like working out. It's like going to the gym. Like if I can go to the gym for 45 minutes, like I'm set, that's my anchor. I'm good. So like finding your anchor is also something that really helps with like, all the different whirlwinds that go on. If you can find something that can help settle you and calm you down and relax you a little bit and give you a sense of self-worth. Like, I was just talking to somebody today about that. Another entrepreneur who reached out to me was like, dude, I'm working like 3 jobs and I got my kids. And I'm like, do you do anything for fun? And he's like, what? I'm like, no, yeah. Do you do anything for yourself? And he's like, I don't understand what you mean. Like, oh man, take 30 minutes, go do something fun, like read a book, go on a run, walk, like listen to music. I don't care, but like chill. I don't know. So those are the two things for me that have like really helped me out.
Well, what do you do to kind of chill out? Or what's that fun aspect that you throw in?
Yeah, for me, it's going to the gym and listening to really fun music, which is either really hard rock or really like cool hip hop with like a really deep bass. So like if I can play some of that music and like throw some heavy weight around, like I'm a happy camper.
Awesome. It's all very a very grounding experience. All that kind of the heavy rock music, the hip hop. Yeah, and then training itself.
Yeah, but then and like for my wife, that's not the case. Like for her, it's writing and dancing, and like if she can go like do ballet for like 20 minutes, like she's set. I have somebody else who is like super into yoga and will do yoga for like an hour and a half with her toddlers because that's somehow relaxing for her. I don't know how you can do yoga with a toddler and find it relaxing, but whatever, like to each their own.
True.
So you're going to find something, I think, for any entrepreneur out there that you enjoy and that grounds you. Because like you said, I've come from the same thing where you need to find something that you can kind of switch off. Exactly like you said, you need to switch off and find yourself again so you can tackle those problems again. And an open sort of point of view, especially when things start to get really hard. When you think you have less time than you ever had before, it's probably I find it's the most important time for you to actually take time out.
Yeah, definitely, and it's one of those things where you really got to make time for it, because like if you're not careful, then you'll find it slipping away from you, and then all of a sudden you don't have time for it, and now you're going crazy. Like, if you want to do it first thing in the morning or last thing before you go to bed, or like at lunch during the day to take a break, but like you gotta force yourself to take like that 30 minutes and try and do something.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about what's your driving force. Well, why are you doing what you do? I mean, you could go and have a job doing SEO, at an agency or whatever you wanted to do. Why are you doing your own thing? What's your driving force? What do you want to achieve? Why do you want to achieve it?
It's going to sound really cheesy, so feel free to laugh. But I really like helping people make their dreams come true, which sounds really like Disney princess and, Prince and whatever and Mickey Mouse. But it's something I really get a high off of, is like helping somebody achieve their dream, or like achieve like their goal, or something that they couldn't do it themselves. Like I have a friend of mine whose restaurant actually just got closed down because the owner this may take some backstory, but he was the manager of this restaurant in a pretty famous one in California. And, Donald Trump is president, and there's a lot of more hyper awareness on like racism and on all this stuff, especially here in California. And the owner of the restaurant, his boss, made a donation to David Duke, who was one of the KKK members or founding members way back when. And they found this out, and they like closed the restaurant down, like they just in complete protest. So now the owner is out, but like so is my friend, and all of the people that he trained, all of his employees are now like out of jobs. And so he was telling me this, and he really wants to reopen this restaurant, make it a new brand, make it about inclusion and family focused restaurant that like people can come to and feel happy about. And so, he told me this, and I was like, dude, I'm going to help you get the funding, and we're going to make this thing happen. And like, just the hope and the happiness that he had after that conversation, like really gave me a high.
Was this
like that's the thing that really pushes it.
Was this some like KKK thing from like way back that they've suddenly brought up now?
No, this like happened. I don't know when the donation happened, but like this, like the discovery of it and the recent shutdown happened like the last 6 months.
Wow, that's interesting, that whole social movement that's going on. But I guess that's amazing about what you're doing, is you're kind of you're cutting through the crap, getting a bit of a balance out of it, and bringing something back to society with it, or helping him to kind of evolve what he's done with it, and kind of get some redemption in some sense.
Yeah. And the guy's like super cool, and in the restaurant itself, like everyone in Santa Cruz was really depressed when they found out it was that restaurant, because it was such a cornerstone of the community. Mm-hmm. And so it's really like, at the end of the day, I feel like entrepreneurship really is not a mutually, like, how am I going to say this? It's when you build a business, you're not just building a business, you're really adding so much more to the community. That you're adding jobs, you're adding friends and family, you're adding a sense of community together. And so like when you take that away, especially something that's so imperative to a community like that type of restaurant that like everyone knows and everyone loves, like when you take that away, something is lost. Mm-hmm. And so trying to build that back up and let people know that like, no, this really is something important. That's something that I can really get behind.
How do you feel about this? Because that touches on this idea that I've kind of caught in a few places, that it's not so much the politicians which are going to save the world, like the way the world is going. We're not looking necessarily for leaders. It's more the entrepreneurs that are kind of have the solutions, the innovators, and it's like there's a bit of shift in power, that it's now amongst the people. Various business-minded individuals who are, really bringing it back to the community and really showing how we should use these resources. And it's guys like you who are managing those resources and finding better ways to use them.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, I think entrepreneurs have a really powerful opportunity here where you're learning because you're getting thrown in the fire, right? Like you get thrown in the deep end and you learn how to swim, and then you learn how to swim really well, and then it's your responsibility to take that and help other people to learn how to swim, and then from there we're all able to kind of float as one and really help build a great environment for all of us to live in.
And that's really the purpose of humanity, in a sense, isn't it?
Well, I think so, but I might be biased because my handle is Ugly.Entrepreneur, but I would definitely agree with you.
But I think that's fine to not shy away from that darker side. Like, we can't necessarily escape, that almost that underworld aspect. But at the same time, it's what you do with it, I guess. Like, I guess we as humans want to do better with the world, better with society.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I think that's the cool thing with like life in general is that like crap is always going to happen. It just depends on what you do with it, right? Like, and I think that's the unique thing that entrepreneurs offer is they have a different way of viewing the world, where they'll see a pile of crap and think, what can I do with this? As opposed to somebody else may think, dang it, now I got to freaking clean stuff and this sucks and I hate this. Entrepreneurs are able to say, wow, this is a really crappy feeling. Like, how can I go about changing this? And then that mentality, I think, if one person can have that mentality, I've seen it be very contagious. And that's how a lot of like teams are built, right? Like, one person has a vision and they think, how can I change this? And then somebody else's mindset switches from, wow, this really sucks, to, oh, yeah, no, we could totally change this. And once people figure out that like any situation can become a positive, or that they can change a situation, then they become change agents, right? And then that's where the real power lies.
Mm-hmm. I've actually seen that myself as well. When I started taking a leap into entrepreneurship, I mean, the first couple of months, kind of just head down, let's just get this done. But it's a ripple effect you have on the people around you, your family, your friends, the people that come into your life, and all of a sudden they're either starting their own thing or they're jumping on board with your vision. It's one of the two, right? And they start becoming producers. They start to create. They start to look at opportunities around the world, and they start to live their life in a bit more of a I wouldn't say a positive way, but it's more of a, how can I give back? How can I take what's been given to me and make something great out of it?
Yeah, I would call that a positive way.
Yeah.
I think, the other thing that I'll add on to that too is that, like, don't be afraid of ridicule, or don't be afraid of no, right? Because a lot of times, like my family in particular, like, I would have these, and Safety Space isn't my first idea. I had one entrepreneurial venture in college that like flamed out real bad. And it was a tutoring service.
Tell us about that one.
Yeah, and it was a tutoring service, and it was an app, and we were in the middle of developing it, and I was telling all my family about it, and they're like, it's not going to work. I don't know about that. And then it didn't work, and they're like, man, I told you. But the next time when I actually brought Safety Space up, and I started working on Safety Space, like, they already knew that I was a creator, and that was something that I liked to do. And so once they saw that it only takes one to get people to start believing in you. And it doesn't even take a success. It takes like micro successes. It just takes traction for people to think like, oh crap, like you can actually do this. No, this is realistic. And I think that's the thing where, you shouldn't be afraid to tell your family that you want to start something, and you shouldn't be afraid to tell your family how you feel during the process, or your close friends, because even if they say like, man, I told you, at the end of the day, like, you're going to be able to change their minds. And if they really do care about you, at the end of the day, like, they're still going to support you. And that's kind of just a fact that I've seen. And ultimately, like, I've seen the change in my own family, where now, like, people are coming to me in my family that are saying like, hey, I never really shared this with anyone, but I have this idea. And they come to you because they know that you're somebody who is a positive force, who can make change, right? And so that's like,
with it.
now they know.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you say to anyone who's, I guess, has had one of those ideas? Because I think we've all had those ideas. but they have, I call them dream stompers all around them. Okay, now the people like you said, why would you want to do that for? It's not possible. What would you say to individuals who have those ideas, who have that vision, they want to create something, but every time they mention it to people around them, why would you want to do that for? What would you say to them? Because you've been through it now a couple of times. So what would you say to them?
I would say listen to this podcast and talk to Brendan. No, but in all seriousness, I think really the thing is, find people who are like-minded in that sense of like, yeah, you can do it. Because it really only takes one person, and there are tons of ways to do that. Whether it be like through social media, you could reach out. Like, I'm serious. Like, you could reach out to Brendan. You could reach out to me at Ugly.Entrepreneur. Like, I'm always having conversations with people. Like, dude, do it. Here's how you can make it successful. Go listen to Gary V or Gary Vaynerchuk on Spotify. Go to a local meetup. Like, there's meetup.com where they have local groups of people who just want to get together and talk shop and like talk about stuff that they build. Like, one of the reasons I think that Silicon Valley became such a cult thing in San Francisco is because people who liked to create things and liked entrepreneurship started just getting together, and they became closer and closer physically. And then all of a sudden you have Silicon Valley with all these investors and stuff, right? Same thing in New York. I'm sure Australia and Sydney have the same thing. So that's what I would try to, if you can't do it physically in person, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to. I'm sure Brendan, I know you guys would be happy to talk to him as well, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess it's the power of just getting out of your comfort zone and stepping out into kind of a new social force where you can share different experiences, different ideas, and that's where the growth really happens. And I think so many people have gotten used to just being stagnant, or I'll never be able to beat the big guys in town. They'll squash me down, and there's the fear, and then maybe your family is also maybe a bit fearful for the entrepreneur as they're stepping out of their bounds, because they're taking a risk, and the risk affects everybody in some sense. But that's the point. Like, once you start getting past that, facing your fears, you become a bit more of a role model, especially when you have that positive force behind it and you're so sure about what it is you're doing.
Yeah, and I think there's one thing that you said that I really want to hone in on. You said, there may be people out there who are going to squash me, right? And the one point, like the thing that really flipped my switch when I heard it the first time, when I was trying to get in entrepreneurship was competition in entrepreneurship is not mutually exclusive. Just because there's a competitor out there, or just because there's somebody as a big company doing it, doesn't mean that there isn't a small niche for you, right? And I've seen this in like every industry I've been a part of, especially credit cards. Now that I'm doing a lot of digital marketing for credit cards right now, so I'm just like thinking about it. But there are huge players that take millions upon millions of dollars and make billions in terms of revenue. And then you have your small flies, and they're making the same, like they're doing the same stuff, super small scale, but they're making money. They're successful. Just because there's a big competitor out there doesn't mean that you won't be successful, right? And if they decide that like, oh shoot, you're getting too big, we need to now look at them as a problem, like that's a good thing, because either they'll buy you out for a ton of money, or they'll force you to be more creative, and then you have your niche. Like there's no like, competition is never a bad thing. So that, I just wanted to call that out, because I thought that was like such an important thing that a lot of people that I know of have thought about and have talked to me about. Like, that's the limiter, is like, oh no, I can't do this because somebody's already doing it. But like, no, go do it. Just, maybe do it a little differently.
Or just do it for the sake of doing it and see where it goes. I guess it doesn't always work out, of course, but that's part of the whole process of it. It's better to do it than not do it, if anything.
Yeah, I think one thing you mentioned previously, which was about being fulfilled.
Totally.
I think that if you're not doing something that you feel fulfilled with, why wouldn't you be doing it? Like, you've only got one life. Right. Do something that makes you happy and feel fulfilled. Even if you've got big dogs that are versing you, like you said, there's a positive way of looking at it. You either become more creative, or they buy you out. either way,
Yeah.
that's a positive experience in itself.
Right. No, I think that's totally the case. And, like, I've seen that in my own family, right? Like, my mom has worked in tech for her whole life. And then finally she had enough of the politics, enough of the tech. And she was like, dude, I just want to cook. I just like cooking for people. So she learned how to cook. She became a chef, started catering, didn't really like it. But then ultimately later on in life, like after she got divorced and moved down to Santa Cruz by the beach, and she was like, well, I have this house I really like. I love hosting people. Why don't I just make it a bed and breakfast? So now she just hosts people on Airbnb, like on the weekends for fun. And she's super fulfilled with that. And she doesn't have to work really much anymore. And she just cooks food for people and has fun. There's somebody else I know who was into like IT security, and she hated it. And she decided that she said, screw it. I'm just going to walk dogs because I love dogs. Now she has a dog walking business and lives on her own by the beach, has a ton of fun, and is super happy. Like, but you don't need to make millions of dollars to be fulfilled, right? And you don't have to work in tech. Like, if you can find something that you like to do, go freaking do it. Who cares? If you gain experience from it, great. If you gain money from it and experience, even better. Like, whatever.
And there really is a place for everyone these days. We don't all have to kind of climb the corporate ladder, I guess.
Totally. That's exactly true. And I think, the age of the internet and like the way that social media and websites are working out right now, it's super easy to do whatever you want and involve these like ways of being able to scale it out so that you can make it sustainable. There's tons of ways to do it, and people have done it before. People are doing it again. I know, Brendan, you said you're a sales coach. Like that's an easy resource to go to.
That's
right?
me. That's Martin.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, like sales coaching, right? Like that's finding something to having somebody help you figure out how to make a clientele list so that you can do what you want to do, like that, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a book that I was reading the other day. I forgot the actual author and the name of the book now. However, it was all about we are gone from the days where we're only purchasing from large corporations, and there's now a space for every niche in the market, because we're now opening it up on the internet where you can Google something that's so specific that you think it's not going to be out there, but somebody's probably doing it. Which means you start to find your vibes and your tribe, and in regards to your client list in regards to that. So if you only want to, walk dogs and you only want to walk chihuahuas and you specialize in chihuahuas, there's a place for that more than likely. And if there isn't...
Yes, there definitely is. And I think that's the cool thing, tying it back to just like websites and SEO and stuff like that. Like there are literally people searching every month for everything. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be like you said, chihuahuas under 15 pounds who are black, and I only want to walk them. Like, okay, there are people there who have a black chihuahua who want them walked. And if you are a specialist, quote unquote, dude, you can make some money off that. Sure. And, like websites like Amazon and Etsy and eBay and like all these other ones that allow you to, even just have your own website that has its own e-commerce platform. You don't even have to use like Amazon, or Etsy. You could use WooCommerce to like make your own little customizable corner of the internet and like sell whatever the heck you want. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy, So I totally agree with you. I think the way that we are wow, I'm like tripping over my words and my caffeine here. Like you can do whatever you want. Like the way the internet's working now, like there's so many easy ways to do it.
It's given us a chance to kind of redefine what it is to feel part of a tribe, I guess, in this, I don't know what the words are, like capitalistic world, consumeristic world, whatever it is. That's the way it's going, but we've lost a sense of what's our inner culture, what's our inner tribe. And I think that personal connection that you get through those niches fulfills that desire within people to just have a true connection. But a true connection that connects to something within them that they enjoy, which they wish to embrace, which they wish to explore. So like you said, you can have specifically a black chihuahua dog walking group, and there'll be a tribe of that, and they feel connected and they feel in a group, and it serves that purpose. I think that's the special thing about having the internet as well.
And in business, that's called your brand voice.
Mm-hmm.
So like, people have been doing this forever, right? Like figuring out like, who's my tribe? Who's my target market? Like, who am I a part of? Who do I want to be a part of? What community? Who do I want to sell to? What do they talk about? What do they like? How do they like it?
Mm-hmm.
And then serving that up and being like, hey, I'm part of you guys, right? Like that's the whole thing. And finding your tribe in terms of who you can talk to about entrepreneurship, but then also figuring out like what makes you fulfilled, and then finding other people who have that need, I think is like the starting point for pretty much any venture in entrepreneurship. Like that's how I got started. I know that's how a lot of other people got started, was I really have this thing. I know other people have this issue, and oh crap, I have a solution for that. Like here you go. Right. So I don't know.
Okay. What would you say to people who are starting out now at the beginning, and let's say they are starting out a Chihuahua walking business or whatever it might be? How would they go about? Because I mean, you're talking a lot about SEO, and I think I want to unpackage that a little bit.
Sure.
How do people go about finding out more about SEO? What is SEO? How do people start to find them? Because I think there's a lot of people going out there going, I have a specific idea in mind, but I don't know how people are going to find me. I don't know how to even start. Where do I start in regards to people finding me? And what are some of the techniques and tips that you could give to them?
Yeah, totally. So I think if you have an idea, in like let's take Black Chihuahua dog walking for an example. The first thing you want to do is figure out like how many people are really searching for it, and if it's dog walking in particular or something that's like location specific, like how many people in my area are looking for this. And the easiest way to do that is to actually go to you can just type it right into Google. You just go Google Keyword Planner. And basically, it's Google's tool to help digital marketers figure out what phrases people are using to search on the internet, and it'll tell you like essentially how many people a month are searching for any type of phrase. So, for example, like if I wanted to type, like if I was doing dog walking right now, I want to start a dog walking business, just to get a rudimentary idea of like how many people around me are looking for dog walkers, I could say like, okay, let me type into that Google Keyword Planner dog walkers near me. And just type that phrase in, and it'll give you a ton of other related phrases that people are looking for. You just look at all those monthly searches, and you're like, okay, 3,000 people a month in my area search for dog walker. Great. Okay, well, let's look up how many dog walking companies there are. Okay, so what do? You go to Google, you type in dog walker near me. Google's going to pop up all the current businesses that are in your area, right? So just go through them, count them all. Like, how big are they? How many people do they have? What are they offering? Like, what are they not offering that you could offer? And then write that all down, and there's your business. And then from there, you have your like rudimentary, like this is super basic, like just to get the idea that you want to do this, but like there you have all of your potential people who would need a dog walker. You have all of your competition. You have what sets you apart. And then from there, super easy, you can go and like go to WordPress or go to Wix or Squarespace or whatever, and just create like a free website. Put like a little form on there saying like, hi, I'm a dog walker. I'm, whatever price you found, like commonly within all of your competitors that you looked at, right? Because if you look at all of like what they charge, then you can be like, well, I know like a ton of them charge like $15 an hour to walk a dog. I don't really have all that much that I have to pay for, so maybe I can do $12 an hour and undercut them, and then take them on a longer walk or something, and I'll even give them a bath, like whatever, right? Whatever you want it to be. You put your offer on there, and then you start putting those keywords in your website, and you start saying like dog walker in San Francisco, and I will walk your dog for 2 hours a day, and I'll give him a massage. I don't know, right? And then you just put in your contact info, and you start getting business, right? Like it doesn't have to be something complex. It be something super simple. Mm-hmm. The basic idea is find how many people and what your estimated market is. Find what your competitors are doing. Find what the common price is that most people are charging, and then figure out how you want to be different, and then go. That's pretty much it.
You made it, I think, sound incredibly simple. And I think it is. That's the beauty of it. I think when we start any ideas, we tend to we make it too overcomplicated. And complexity is the killer of all ideas, I find.
Yeah. What is it about complexity that freezes us up, though?
I think it's just simply complex. We don't know where to start. If we make it so complex that we want to build a multi-billion-dollar business, we kind of go, oh shit, I haven't even made $1 yet. How the hell am I going to make $1 billion business? Like, where do I even start? But if we start with something simple, let's say, like you said, find out what we're wanting to do. Let's find out how many people are actually looking for the service. Let's find out our competition. And I mean, there's 2-3 steps already. Now we know so much more to get started in regards to it. We know now kind of a pricing point where we want to be as well. We can see where we can differentiate ourselves. And from there, we can start to launch a business that might make $100 a week. Now, making a business that goes from $100 a week to $1,000 a week is going to be a lot simpler than going straight from 0 to $1 billion.
Yeah.
So it's really...
Yep. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Go ahead. Well, the other thing that I was going to say is, like, on top of that, it's like the complexity in there. It's just because I feel like for me, when you have something called analysis paralysis, right? Like, there's so much information, you don't know what your first step is. So screw the information, like, get the basics, take your first couple of steps, and then as you're taking steps, more information is going to come, and you piece it together. Like, all of these billion-dollar ideas that people are saying, like, are super big. Like, freaking Mark Zuckerberg, when he started Facebook, it was for, like, 2 colleges max. And it was, like, for guys to figure out what girls were single in their, like, college class. Like, that was it. That was the whole idea of Facebook. And then it blew up into this big thing, and now it's got algorithms and paid ads and billions of dollars and, you know, pretty much practically every person who breathes on planet Earth on this thing. Like, but it didn't start out that way, right? Like, it was super basic. Same thing with like Snapchat. Snapchat was like, I want to take pictures and send them to people, but I don't want people to, like, share them with their friends. So I want them to be, like, deleted afterwards. That was it. And then it blew up into this thing. Like, billion-dollar ideas don't start out as billion-dollar ideas. They start out as, here's a simple problem. I could probably make maybe 100, maybe $50 off this thing per person. Great, let's do that. Oh, crap, we have to do this other thing. Oh, we should add this feature. Oh, people are asking for this. Oh, people are asking for that. And then ultimately, over time, you have this big thing. Like, that's the other thing, is that, like, as you start building your idea and the most important thing is to talk to your customers, right? And ask them, like, going back to our dog walking thing, like, hey, did you see that your dog was more relaxed after I gave him a massage? Was it more amped up? Like, would you like me to take him on a different route? Do you want me to vary things? So as you're talking to your clients, like, they'll give you what you need to work on next. And then ultimately, over time, you're going to look back at, after taking all this feedback and following up on it, you're going to be like, oh, crap, I have a multi-million-dollar company right now. Because you took all of the feedback, you connected to people, you empathized with them, you took their ideas, you implemented them, and then all of a sudden, like, now you're, you know, super rich or whatever. But
so you keep it small, you keep it local, you keep it simple, and then it'll grow from there, essentially. And I think that's the big, like, counterbalance to when we live in such an age with so much information readily kind of at our hands in this global kind of world, and Instagram, for example, and you have all these people to compare to, and it's like, oh, I'll never be as good as them, I'll never be as beautiful as them, I'll never be able to do that. But then when you kind of take a step back and realize you're just one kind of person, you can start, when you start small, that's enough to begin with. And then, like you said, it just, before you know it, you hopefully end up as a, you know, multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah, and the other thing too that, like, I think shatters a lot of people's perceptions of success is the top 1% of the 1%, like, in terms of richness in the world, don't even make $500,000. Like, in Silicon Valley, the top 1% of like, richest people make less than $500,000 a year as entrepreneurs. They make, like, maybe 400. I think the number was 408,000. So you don't have to. You're not a millionaire to be successful. You're not a millionaire to be top 1% of the entire world, right? Like, it. Like, if you are financially self-sustaining, you don't need to rely on somebody else to pay your bills. or pay your salary, like, congratulations, dude. You're part of like the 1/2 of the 1% that actually run the world.
That's phenomenal, because I mean, it's people. I think it's a lot harder to get to than what it actually is. I mean, there's a massive challenge with it, and it takes time to get there. But if we look at a dog walking business, for example, I mean, it'll take 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, and you'll get there. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Do not wait to think you're never going to get there. It's quite simple to get there. It's just perseverance.
And like, you know, my mom's Airbnb restaurant, for example, like, she started doing it on the weekends, and she only did it for a couple of months, and she ended up like making, I think, close to like $15,000 working like an extra day and a half of the week.
Nice.
And cooking breakfast for people. Like, she would just like bake croissants and clean up after people after they left her house. Like, that was it. Like, but you know, she wasn't expecting to make much. She was like charging like maybe $120 a night or something like that. Just like super basic, like just above motel level pricing, because she just wanted to see what it was like. And she made enough money to where she made like a quarter of her salary in just working weekends. You know, so like it's something where, like, if you start off having to do it part time and it's a second job for you, and you start really feeling the pinch for your time, you know, like that's good. That means that you've put in enough work, you're getting enough money out of it, that you're starting to really feel the edge of like, hey, I could probably go do this full time now. So like, it doesn't take a lot to start. It doesn't take a lot to see traction. And then once you see traction, man, you're off to the races. Like, go have fun.
Oh, absolutely. What was one of the first times that you've ever seen traction within any of your businesses? Let's go back a little bit in regards to, because I think it's all about celebrating successes and seeing that traction as well. You mentioned before being self-aware. And I think, I don't know, for myself speaking, and I'm sure you've had similar experiences, you have so much traction within a week, 2 weeks, a month, and you don't take time to reflect on it.
Right.
Tell us a little bit more. What do you do to see some of that traction? Because, I mean, the first couple of wins, you're like, yeah, I've done it. But then after a while, traction becomes the norm. I don't know. What's for me? Traction becomes a norm where you're kind of going, okay, there's going to be more. Let's get more. Let's get more. And we start reflecting on that traction.
Right.
So is there some things that you're doing to kind of reflect on the traction to keep you feeling fulfilled, keep you feeling positive, motivated in regards to your businesses?
You know, I think that's where having somebody to help pull you out of your bubble, right? Like, really helps. For me, I actually had that experience, and I probably should have posted it, but I didn't. Where I had posted, so on Ugly.Entrepreneur, I posted that like super mopey, depressing, like, we can't get this thing off, and it sucks, and life is horrible, and everything is black and depressing. And then I go and tell my wife, and she's like, oh, what were you doing? I was like, oh, I was posting something on Instagram, and life sucks, and blah, blah. She's like, well, what's the situation? Where are you at right now in your development? And I told her, like, we're like an eighth of this sliver of an inch from launching, and I can't get this thing, and blah, blah, blah. She's like, wait. You realized 4 months ago you had no product. I was like, yeah. It's like, and you're like 5 minutes away from launching this thing? Yeah. Dude, that's amazing. You're an idiot for moping so much. Like, but that's amazing. You're doing so well, right? And so it's like one of those things where it really helps to have other people outside of your tunnel vision that can kind of pull you out of it. But the other thing that I do as well is I try to take that 30 minutes away from whatever it is, right? Going back to that, like, find something that you enjoy doing for 30 minutes that like takes you mentally away from your grind. And then by the end of that, I'm able to be like, oh, you know, today's going to be a good day. Or like, oh shoot, today was a pretty good day. Like, we did a lot of cool stuff today. Right. But like, you need to take that break, and kind of force yourself out of your tunnel vision and kind of pop your own bubble by doing something that has nothing to do with anything that you did that day. That's like fun, that grounds you. Mm-hmm. And then you can kind of take a step back and look at everything and be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, we did a lot of cool stuff. That was me. Like, what did you guys?
Pardon?
Gives you a chance to like be reflective with what you've been doing, because when you've got that tunnel vision, it's just go, and you have time to look back. And I think that's when all those negative thoughts start to kind of catch up.
Yeah, and for me, I also like one other thing that I do that I don't know how many other people do. I do not work on Sunday. Like, I will not touch my phone. I won't touch anything on Sunday. Is family, church. That's it. And so for me, like, that's a time for me to reflect on the week and kind of reset everything. You don't have to do it or a whole day. You know, I'm kind of extreme like that. Like, you could do it for like an hour, but like it is important to find not just that half hour in between your days, but like also, you know, find a time during the week to kind of settle down, reflect on the week that happened, get yourself ready for the week that's going to come up. But like, you know, find, you know, it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be going to see a movie, it could be riding a roller coaster. I don't know, but I don't know. What have you guys done to kind of pull yourself out of it?
I mean, at the beginning when I started, I didn't have anything, and that's when I probably found I lost a lot of motivation, because we were progressing so much and we're so in the tunnel vision that I couldn't pull myself out, and through that I've developed habits that allow me to pull myself out. So what I do is every morning I do a priming exercise. I got this from Tony Robbins, where you think about a couple of things you're grateful for, and in that, one of the questions I ask myself: where have I come from over the last week, 2 weeks, months, compared to where I am today? And that question in itself kind of pushes it forward, like, holy moly, like, where did I just come from compared to where I am now? That's amazing. It's an amazing journey already. So that really does it for me. Secondly, what I do is I write down everything I get done in a day. So I'll have a checklist. I take like a little checklist that I do, and I cross it out. It gives you a little dopamine hit at the same time. And at the end of the week, I can actually go through and go, I did this. Wow, I actually got a lot done this week. I didn't expect to get this much done because it didn't feel like I was getting anything done. But I actually ended up getting, 40 things done in a week, or 50 things done in a week. Right. And then every now and then I do go out and, you go to the beach, or you go, with the missus, or whatever you're doing. Go out, go to dinner, do something you completely enjoy, and you can start reflecting and go, wow, I've come a long way. I've come a really long way. But the problem I have with that, when I have that realization, it makes me want to work harder and straight away jump back into it again.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad thing, though. That's definitely not a bad thing to have that. Like, that's part of, for me, that's like part of it is like, shoot, we did a lot of cool stuff. Holy crap, there's so much more cool things we could do. Let's get to it, right? Like, it kind of gives you that motivation again.
Absolutely.
It's a good reality check.
Yeah. What do you do, Brendan?
Definitely train. I think that's my most grounding force. I don't exactly have a wife or kids or anything like that at the moment to ground me, so I have to really kind of use those kind of times of just training and achieving goals in that sense. That kind of grounds me. But then when I want to kind of take the brakes off, I just go sit out in nature and just listen to sounds, music, meditate. I'll train outside in nature, or just chill out at the beach. Or read some books, play some computer games even can help me switch off a bit. Yeah.
One thing I found is actually doing this podcast as well has helped me a lot.
Oh yeah, it really puts you into like a good flow state where you forget about everything except what's just going on in the very moment.
Yeah. And I think Brendan actually helps me kind of realize the things I've achieved for the week as well. Because
wow, sorry about that. Freaking phone.
All good.
That's all good. So where were we? So we just had a quick cutout. I think Brendan's just fixing up the recording again. So where were we?
Well, we were
talking about. I think somebody was talking about training.
I think we're getting to like what we do kind of in our downtime, or that reflection kind of period. Grounding practices.
Yeah.
To kind of like reflect, take it in, so you can get back to doing the hard work. Otherwise, the overwhelming kind of feelings of negativity when you have that tunnel vision going. I think that's where we're coming from.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. what's next?
Awesome. All right. Maybe we can touch back on in regards to being fulfilled. Do you think there's any chance for people starting entrepreneurship? I mean, I've got my thoughts on this, but starting a business or starting anything just for the point of making money, or do you think they need to feel fulfilled in order to succeed?
You could start a business just to make money. I know people who have and have been successful at it.
Okay.
I mean, if that's what turns you on, but it's not what turns me on.
Yeah. Because I always have this viewpoint that you need to feel fulfilled at least a little bit. And the reason being is entrepreneurship isn't something that's, I think your Instagram page shows it perfectly. It's not something where you can go in and go, you've got the Lamborghinis within a year. It doesn't work that way. And in order for you to push past your own barriers, because I mean, everything is limited based on your own barriers, you need to be a little bit obsessed when it comes to it.
Totally. There
needs to be a driving factor within you that pushes you through, or pulls you through, I should say. Not pushing, because I think pushing is the wrong term, but that pulls you through it. You feel compelled to continue on and grow through it, and every step of the way when things get rough, it's self-development more so than your app idea or your business idea. Your business is never limited by the business itself, but only ever limited by the owner of the business. It's almost been my sort of thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, I would, for the most part, I would agree with that. I think the only caveat I'd throw in there is that, like, I've met a ton of people who are totally fulfilled just doing, like, they just like building businesses. Doesn't matter what it is. Like, that's how they get their jollies in a roll. Like, I know a ton of people who own their own digital marketing agency, and they don't give a crap what type of industry it is. They just like doing digital marketing. And so I think there are some very rare cases where there's people who are like, dude, I just like building businesses. I'm like, well, hallelujah to you, dude. Like, you've got it made. I need something a little bit more than that. But, I know there are those people out there. But for the most part, I think you're right. Like, I think you'll have an easier time, at least. You'll have a much easier time building a business and being successful in entrepreneurship if you're obsessed with it and you love what you're building. If you don't and you're just in it for the short-term money, like, go get a full-time job. Like, if you're just in it for money, you're gonna burn out. It's not gonna be for you. But again, that goes back to that whole, like, self-awareness, right? Like, do you like being your own? Like, I know a ton of people that got into the real estate industry because they didn't like working for somebody else, and so they just wanted to start putting investments down on real estate businesses, and then, like, 3 years after working a high-paying job that they hated, they had their real estate property company up to the point where they could just live a super cheap lifestyle, and then they did. I guess there's different ways of doing it, but yeah, I think for the most part you're right. Like, you gotta have some driving force, otherwise your Lambo's not going to come no matter how many pictures you post on Instagram.
I guess it does depend on what drives you, and there are some driving forces that maybe come with a bit more of a fulfillment with it. Others, maybe some people do find fulfillment through buying a Lamborghini or that short-term monetary gain, whether it's power or just fulfilling a place maybe within their family, even just to say, look, mom and dad, I did it, or just to say to themselves, look, I did it, I can do it. But I guess, for others, maybe if that's not working out, what other purpose can drive you there? And I think, like you said, it's one of those easier kind of purposes to jump onto. And also there is a bit of a, maybe if you want to believe in a natural law to things, but if you put out a positive, more benevolent vibe, or however you want to put it, it kind of comes back to you double. I think it's a principle that you don't have to use, but once you start using it, it's amazing how effective it can be.
Well, I think that goes back to the whole 51-49 rule, right? Like, give 51, take back 49. And I think what you're doing there, like, the thing that a lot of that I've noticed is that there's kind of three different types of of people. There's givers, there's takers, and then there's this other group that we typically call I call them balancers. They're people that like care about the balance of good and bad, right? And so you'll have people who are givers who just give stuff out, and ultimately they're very successful. They're probably for the most part most successful because of the connections, the genuine connections that they make with people. Takers have short-term gain. They're the ones that they try to always win out in the deal, and they end up sacrificing a lot of stuff for that. And then you have what I think the vast majority of people are, which are balancers, where they feel like if you haven't done enough good, you don't deserve enough good, kind of a thing. And so I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs tend to be in the giver realm. And so when you are somebody whose focus is on how can I provide, whether it be can I provide the best product for somebody, can I provide somebody the best experience, can I help somebody achieve a new goal, and they look at you and they're like, well, what's in it for you? And you're like, I don't know, not much, or like not enough for you to care. That's when people are like, oh crap, like this is a really good service, or like this is a really good person, like I'm going to go tell other people about this person. And it's a word of mouth thing, versus like I've met a ton of other people who try to do something and then they're like, yeah, I'm going to like trick them this way and then I'll be able to get double. And I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. And then they come back from those meetings.
I saw that a lot in the property industry when I was working in it. And it's one of the reasons why I left, because just everybody, not everybody, but a lot of it's the way it runs. It's just on takers and takers and takers. You have the guys with the money at the top developing something, and then they keep trying to cut to save money, time and all that. And then it's the guy at the bottom who's always needing to kind of find ways to cut corners, and it kills the product at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know, that's I think that's again where the big difference in success is, right? Like I've known a ton of people, like just in within business, if you're running a specific type of business where you're giving people leads, like you're running a what's called like an affiliate website, where like, for example, if I'm trying to get people to sign up for credit cards, then, you know, and I'm running a website trying to tell people about, like, educating them on what your credit score is and like why credit cards are important and like how you can improve your life with them. I've seen businesses that run that I've done digital marketing for, that only care about getting money. And so the content they put out sucks. The experience they have sucks. The people that go there don't trust the brand. Versus I've worked with other businesses in the same industry where I've done digital marketing for them, and they don't care about they care about the money, but that's not the driving force. Their driving force are people signing up for credit cards that they want. And they've made 5 times the amount of money. And it really comes back down to that focus of who am I talking to? What are their needs? Can I help with their needs? That, like, at the end of the day, those are the questions that you need to make sure you answer before you even think about, like, money. Because otherwise you run into the issue of, like, people feel gypped, or like people don't like your brand, or like all of a sudden you're losing money, or you're like bleeding money because you can't keep your profits up. Like that's why.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I want to take it back just because it's something that I'm really curious about. It's something that I always have a personal interest in. You said before your driving force was helping someone achieve their dreams, and that's something that really drives you.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Like, is there something that occurred to you when you were younger? Is it something that may have happened? Is it something that you've seen? Is it an experience that you've went through that's become your driving force? And that might be a little bit personal here. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting, because I think a lot of people I speak to who have that sort of driving force, there tends to be more of a backstory to it, and that backstory is usually quite phenomenal. But it also when it's been shared across with other people, it allows other people who've been in similar circumstances to go, hang on, if they've gone through that, I can go through this as well, and I can achieve what they can achieve. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. it really started. It really started in high school, and I had taken this like service project trip down to South America, and I was living with a family down there, and it really opened my eyes to like different experiences that people had, and that really started forcing me to think about what other people are going through. And then when I came back from that, I had this really cool opportunity to go on this civil rights trip in the U.S., where we visited all of the different locations where the civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, the Little Rock Nine, for those who don't know who that is, like the Little Rock Nine were these 9 little students who they're black students who were the first ones to go to an all-white school and end segregation in school in the U.S. And we went to these places and we heard from the people who lived there, and that had a really profound effect on me in terms of like the pain that people go through, and people being open and raw with me about their feelings and what happened. And I really felt that pain. And then as we started talking, they started opening up about why they did that, what their hopes were. And it was at like that moment that when I started pushing to try to see like, can I make a difference in the world? Can I do something to help somebody else? And then I got that opportunity one day, and it was I was serving as a missionary in Florida, and there was this girl who had been thrown from a second-story window by her boyfriend at the time, and she had broken her back, and she was addicted to these pain meds, and we were talking to her, and we worked with her through getting off of the withdrawal with the pain meds, and then one night we were supposed to meet up with her, and she didn't call and didn't talk to us at all. We were trying to figure out what happened, and months later we get back in contact with her, and she had been hit by a car when she tried to take her own life. And we visited her in the hospital, and as we talked to her, and as we tried to help her through both the physical and mental pain she was feeling, we started seeing this change in her, and she started feeling hopeful and happy. And then she started.
Yeah. Okay, we're back.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Sorry. So
started feeling hopeful and
her, and we saw this big change with her, and that changed my life, and that like I recognized that I felt happiest when I was seeing her go through this change and be happy, and I became addicted to it, and I loved it, and now like my whole purpose is to try to help people find that same hope and find that self-confidence that like you can do it, and I've gone through my own struggles after that with like, again, I talked previously about the fact that I couldn't read, and I had ADD and I didn't know, and I went through a huge issue of self-worth and depression because of that, and so I know what it feels like, both having seen it in other people and having felt it in myself, where there is this dark cloud, and then being able to see and feel what it is to have that dark cloud kind of gone, and know that like, yes, you can accomplish something. Yes, your life has meaning. Yes, you can do something to help somebody else out. And yes, it's going to make you feel amazing. And that has really pushed me to try to help other people achieve that for themselves, so that they both like, I can still get that high of like, dude, I helped you accomplish this. Look at how happy you are. But then you also get the same high of like, wow, I did something. I can go help somebody else do this too, And so that's, for me, that was kind of what really started this whole process of like, I've gone through depression myself. I've gone through it with other people, and there's hope on the other side. There's progression on the other side. There's like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, there is good stuff in the world, and you can create it yourself, and like you can go help other people create it. And to me, that's like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, man, I really resonate with that kind of experience, and the high you get of seeing kind of that awakening in somebody, that there is some kind of light that you can attach to. There is this journey in your life that you can overcome your struggles, and there is a particular energy and driving force behind that just, it's so fulfilling.
Yeah, and for me, like the thing that I'll say too with that is that, like, for me, it took me down a path of like, hey, I liked starting stuff. And I realized that I liked starting stuff. And then I realized that there was money I could make doing this myself, and I could be happy. So I started doing that. And then I realized, like, as I was doing that, other people would come to me and say, like, hey, I have this dream. I'm like, well, crap, dude, let's go make your dream happen. You know? And so, like, for me, that became entrepreneurship. That became investing. That became coaching. That became everything. Like, that's just what I do. That's what I love to do. And I love helping people do that. And so there are other avenues where, like, yes, there's light, and yes, there's, you know, answers to depression and stuff like that. And other ways, whether it be like being a counselor or being a psychiatrist or whatever, like, that's just not the path that I took. And I just found that there was just a lot of people who had the same, like, dude, let's go do this. It's super cool, but I don't know if I really can. Or like, oh yeah, I don't know if other people are going to like it. It's like, for me, it's like, well, screw it, dude, go do it. Like, yeah, I'll help you. I've been there, you know? So I don't know. That's my whole thing.
You became a beacon for people who couldn't necessarily get out of their own way, but needed somebody to just go, yeah, man, you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, beacon, I prefer a really positive kick in the pants, but, you know, either way.
That works. Cool.
That was phenomenal. Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. I think
thank you.
That was absolutely phenomenal, and very grateful for you to be able to be comfortable with sharing that. And I think that'll touch a lot of people who listen to this as well, who can relate to it, either for people who are currently going through it, and for people who have come through to the other side as well, and kind of maybe some direction for them to take as well. So that's, I think it's worth any money that you can ever make.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that I was able to come on. Thank you guys for having me. I think this was really cool.
Yeah, it's been absolutely phenomenal having us. So tell us a little bit more, just to end it up, where can people find you? Where can people contact you? Can they reach out to you? If they want to have a chat to you, do they have these ideas? How do people go and get in contact with you?
Yeah, so feel free to get in contact with me at any time. If I don't answer right away, it's just because I'm probably sleeping or out of my mind doing something else. But yeah, you can, like you guys talked about in the beginning, my Instagram handle is @Ugly.Entrepreneur. Follow or you know, DM me, whatever you want to do. I'm more than happy to talk then. You guys can also reach me at my personal email. It's just jack@sapy.space. It's SAP as in puppy. IE.space. That's my email. So feel free to email me too if you guys ever want to get in touch. And yeah, if you guys are ever interested, sapy.space is the business. And if you ever like connecting with people, I'm always down to connect.
Awesome.
All right, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming on. I think it's been an absolutely amazing podcast.
Yeah, that was really, really intriguing. That was awesome.
Absolutely enjoyed it. So anytime you come to Sydney, let us know, and we can catch up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to make a trip down there. It's one of my top places that I'm dying to go to.
Awesome, man.
Oh, you'll have to come.
We'll see you down here soon then.
Yeah, give me 6 months. Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Come on, you work towards
right?
goals. All right, awesome. Thank you very much.
All right,
guys. You have a great one.
Cheers. You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.